I watched The Force Awakens after a super long hiatus of about 2 weeks. But this time I realized that the beginning of this film is so well crafted that it needed to be talked about again, 4 years later, after people already talked about it a lot. I think that the intro of The Force Awakens accomplished a lot in a little amount of time without ever seeming clunky or jarring. If anything, it got me absolutely hooked, and all these little things shown to us about each character in this opening scene amounted to some extremely major reveals. And beyond that, the brand new ideas explored in this intro were jaw-dropping the first time that I saw this film in theaters. So let's begin this little trip back to the future, back to The Force Awakens. When we opened on this planet and the first thing we saw was this sort of crossguard on the front of a newly designed Star Destroyer, I thought to myself, neat. Yeah, that wasn't exactly a persuasive reason to think this intro is amazing, but it told me things are going to be a bit different right off the bat. Plus, this Star Destroyer eclipses a planet that's essentially a white light. It's a visual analogy that the dark side is back to snuff out the good in the galaxy. While the Star Destroyer is moving past this planet, a bunch of military transports take off, and the way the brand new First Order stormtroopers are revealed is brilliant. It smash cuts to the inside of this cramped space where the lights are trying to flicker on, and once they do, all these slick-looking stormtroopers are standing in rows embarking on their first mission. P.S. We do learn that this is their first mission in the film. So anyway, meanwhile, this cute little astromech named BB-8 is watching the incoming troopers from a distance and rolls his way back to a village to alert his master, Poe Dameron. Now, Poe is in a hut with Lor San Tekka, who is essentially just the giver of a star map that leads to Luke Skywalker. He comes off as wise immediately. Lor San Tekka serves the purpose of looking like a mentor figure we think we might get to hang out with for a bit, as well as dropping some much-needed buzzwords like balance, force, and Jedi to keep our blood pumping. Our main man Poe is in cahoots with Leia Organa, and he's a pretty charming dude. During this star map hangout session, BB-8 bursts through the bamboo curtains to tell him that the First Order is on his way. The Steven Spielberg dolly into Poe Dameron's face as he said, "We got company," made me audibly giggle when I saw the film. JJ wasn't fucking around and making sure our eyes, ears, and brains stayed engaged every second of this film. Skipping right to when the First Order touches down, all hell breaks loose. Poe is running towards his X-Wing with BB-8, the people at the village are aiming their blasters at the shuttles, and the doors to the transports slam down with troopers pouring out like the soldiers on the beaches of Normandy. Even more important, these troopers are actually good at being stormtroopers. They are destroying everything around them, burning shit to the ground. Now, we get a bit more of Poe's nature exposed here when he gives over the map to BB-8 for safekeeping. Poe thinks quickly, yet recklessly. He just handed over a star map to a droid and then told it to head into the desert. That's kind of a dumb plan that worked out. So Poe is a charismatic, impulsive problem solver that doesn't exactly think past the current moment. BB-8 does take off and Poe ends up taking aim at stormtroopers that are taking over the village. And by the way, Poe is a fantastic shot. He takes out a few troopers in his X-Wing and then he takes out 2 other troopers and then one final one goes down hard. This is Finn's buddy who was just shot. And reminder, they are all out on their first mission. Finn's buddy smeared his own blood across Finn's helmet and then fucking died. Poe killed Finn's friend, which triggered Finn into an existential crisis. The camera ends up all canted as he looks around completely jarred from what just happened, and he runs away to hide. I literally couldn't believe it when I saw it. A stormtrooper showing emotions, specifically that of fear and confusion. All I can really say is I loved it. Now, as Finn is hiding and Poe is shooting, we hear another incoming shuttle. It touches land, and the ramp comes down with our main villain, Kylo Ren, walking through the steam like a boss. I'm pretty sure that the sound design in the theater experience enhanced Kylo's footsteps because I could feel them in my chest when he stepped. Kylo Ren is completely covered head to toe in black, and his mask was honestly a little scary. He looked a little more menacing than Darth Vader himself. Rather than eye holes, there's just one slit of complete blackness. His voice is distorted and extremely loud, giving him a sense of demonic presence as he talks. And finally, when he does first speak, we hear this beautiful line.
"Look how old you've become."
The back and forth between Lor San Tekka and Kylo Ren set up a lot of questions about the new villain. Sure, he's extremely badass with his presence and crossguard lightsaber, but something else is going on here. We immediately are told through this interaction that there is more to this villain than we understand right now.
The First Order rose from the dark side. You did not.
I'll show you. the dark side.
Kylo Ren has a unique past, and his family has some mythical truth that we don't know about yet. J.J. Abrams created instant intrigue with Kylo. Now Poe tries to shoot Kylo Ren down after he slays Lor San Tekka, but no. Kylo is not only a visually demonic presence, but apparently is a ridiculously powerful Force user. Poe's blaster bolt hangs in the air completely frozen. Poe is frozen. Kylo Ren's powers reach beyond a simple mind trick. He's physically affecting matter and a body, and God knows what else he is affecting around him. He is absurdly powerful, and JJ really wants us to know that during this intro. The entire time that Kylo interrogates Poe, Poe's blaster bolt remains hanging in the air. It doesn't even seem to require concentration by Kylo Ren to keep the blaster bolt completely frozen. Now, this could have been a necessity with how the film was edited, but in my headcanon, it was just demonstrating Kylo's natural ability in the Force. And again, Poe's reckless and smartass nature comes out here with Kylo, making fun of his mask and distorted voice. I thought it was endearing and it made me like Poe even more. I probably wouldn't talk back to a metal mask wearing demon kid who just froze my body, but that's just me. So Poe's taken away to be questioned about the map, and the camera pans on a music cue right to the chrome armored trooper Phasma, who is essentially a prop. But in this intro, it added another layer of intrigue. Who is Phasma? Why does she wear chrome armor and a cape rather than having a traditional ranking on her armor? It gave a sense of the First Order being a highly organized force and really efficient. Phasma does ask for orders from Kylo, which is kill them all, echoing Sidious in The Phantom Menace. And while I remember JJ and co. were trying to steer clear of anything with that prequel aesthetic, I love this little nod to The Phantom Menace. It was familiar to us. And as these orders are carried out, we focus back on Finn. Finn is still in shock. Everyone else around him raised their blasters to fire on the villagers. He didn't. He couldn't. Once everyone was dead, Kylo walks back to his shuttle and senses Finn. Now, I have zero idea what was going on in Kylo Ren's mind, but knowing what I know now about Kylo Ren, I think he was sensing the stormtrooper going through some heavy inner conflict, something Kylo Ren knows a lot about. And Kylo Ren is also a bit of a dick, so as Finn is staring at him, probably wondering, man, am I about to get stabbed by this guy? Kylo Ren releases the blaster bolt still hanging in the air to hit a vaporator near Finn. It's almost like he said, get over it, wake up buddy. And finally, as Poe's X-Wing is destroyed in one giant explosion, we cut to BB-8, who is pretty far away, but close enough to see the fireball in the distance. I loved how bare bones the scene was. A barren landscape, a droid alone in the desert, and one huge fireball reflecting over his mechanical body, letting BB-8 and us know that everything's gone and been destroyed. The cherry on top of all of this, that tiny little wacky alien that pops out of the sand as BB-8 continues his aimless journey through the desert. So, after going back through all this information concerning the opening of The Force Awakens, I wonder what you all think about this. On the one hand, every intro of Star Wars is iconic, yet The Force Awakens, even after 4 years, doesn't give me that sense of wanting to skip to the next scene. There was so much information thrown at us in 9 minutes, and I think the way it handled character introductions was essentially flawless. Anyway, I'd like to end this with a bit of an interaction with you all, and I'm curious about any specific characters or scenes you would like for me to explore in the Star Wars universe. I have been loving my analysis series on the channel, and while these videos take much longer to make, I find the content way more engaging and fun to dive into. So if you want me to create a video around a character or scene that you specifically enjoy, drop it in the comments or on Twitter at nbruckedit. And as always, thank you guys for watching, it means a lot, and the AT-AT Chat is signing off.